Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. Today we're not doing a distillery, but the Port Ellen Maltings in the south end of the Isle of Islay. The Port Ellen used to be a distillery, as you can see the kilns behind me, and today it's an industrial sized malting from the company Diageo. Here the barley arrives at the port, gets transported to the maltings, they malt it, and then they send it off to the different distilleries for the whiskey making. It belongs to Diageo. That means usually only Caol and Lagavulin should get the malt from the malting. But on Islay there is an agreement that if there is a storm or any other problem that cuts off the island from the mainland, then the malting also supplies the other distilleries so they don't get out of production. The first step in the malting process is the steeping. You fill this 25,000 liter ton with water and barley and let it rest for a few hours. Then you drain it, let it rest, and have two more washings. That washing is filling up with water. This water here is brown because it comes from a loch uphill, and that's brown because of the peat. This is not the peat that you get from the taste of the whiskey. The taste of the whiskey, the peatiness, the smokiness comes from another step in the malting. So you start off with a moisture content of 12% and end up with 45% in the end. So, and this here is pretty much the final product. This is ready to be drained and brought into the dram. So you can see the grain is swollen, a bit bigger, and therefore easier to be processed inside the whiskey process. I'm at the dramming floor, and these are the 7 big drams of Port Ellen. In here we have them filled with about half of malt, and every 8 hours they turn and air is blown through, so you don't have any molds or any other problems, and the malt is turned because otherwise they would stick together with the little roots growing out and form a huge bulk. So you turn them every 8 hours. It takes about 100 hours for the malt to be in the dram, and then they're ready for the kiln. So now we have a look inside the dram. It's really windy, so they blow a lot of air through that, so you don't get any molds, or so you don't the malt doesn't stick to each other. And what the malt man is looking for is when you peel a grain and you press it between your thumbs, it looks for a thick and pasty and creamy substance inside, and then you have the right malt for making whiskey. So behind me is what makes Islay whiskey, and that is the peat. The peat looks kind of like dirt, but it is peat from the moors of Islay, and most of the peat actually comes from Islay. And behind me you can see all the smoke going up. The peat fire is not meant to be a fire with flames, so if there are any flames, people go around with hoses, hose them down so you don't have any flames. What people are looking for is they're looking for smoke, and the smoke first goes through a burner with oil, and that heats it up to about 50 degrees, and for the first 16 hours the malt is dried with the smoke. And in these first 16 hours, the peat, the phenol, all the smoke is sticking to the malt and creates that malty, that peaty flavor and that smoky flavor that you know from the Islay whiskies. The next 16 hours are without the peat smoke, and that are just there to reduce the water content down to a level where you can store the malt for the processing within the distilleries. Here we see the last step within Port Ellen, that's the dispatching. The blended together malt, a different blend of different phenol levels, is then dispatched into a truck, or English a lorry, and then they drive off to the distilleries for making whiskey. If you'd like to know more about how whiskey is made, then please visit Whisky.com. And the information section, we have many articles about how to make whiskey and how to taste whiskey. So thanks for watching, and see you again.